A long-awaited game between Tennessee and Nebraska, supposed to take place 26-27, has been called off, and Tennessee's athletic director, Danny White, has cried foul. Let's talk about why that is, what's going on with the schedule change, and frankly, why this is probably going to become normal in college football. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching the #1 college football show, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round, even in the dead month of February, because there usually is something to talk about. And I usually got a take or two that I want to drop on you. So if you like college football, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and drop a comment below. Let me know. Do you think Nebraska and Tennessee should have played their non-conference schedule, 26-27 home and home dates? At the top, we need to start with Nebraska is changing the way it does business. It is adapting to this new era of college football where we have name, image, and likeness. We're probably going to see a salary cap in college sports. We have seen the expansion of the college football playoff from 4 to 12 teams, and we may see it to 14 to 16. And these non-conference games are taking their toll on how it is that we think about selecting teams for the college football playoff. Tennessee was selected for the college football playoff for the first time last year with Josh Heupel and Nico Iamaleava. They got boat raced by Ohio State, but that's still them getting into the college football playoff before another blue blood, let's not say blue blood program, let's say big time program like Nebraska, right? Who went bowling for the first time since 2016. But Matt Rule is not stopped there. Look, they're not even going to play a traditional spring game. Like, I understand why this is happening. You don't want to showcase players that could go into the transfer portal in the spring window, right? So you're going to say, hey, we're just not going to do it this year. We're not going to put that on television. We don't want you to come and pick off our investments. And that's what they are. You're paying a lot of money to a lot of players to keep them for the 2025 season. So what does this have to do with 26-27? Well, for starters, Nebraska is in the midst of renovating Memorial Stadium. They are expecting to play 8 home games for the first time since 2013 and 2027. That would mean they would have to give up one of those games to play against Tennessee, or so they would tell it, right? This is their side. They're also saying we need the 8 games because the economic impact of playing an 8-game schedule in the Big Ten Conference in 2027, where they expect to have a favorable home schedule, is going to be a boon to Lincoln's community and to the University of Nebraska, which is built on football. The state of Nebraska is built on football the same way that Alabama is built on, the state of Alabama is built on Alabama Crimson Tide football. Why wouldn't a Tennessee game be important to you then? Well, A, it's a game you could lose, right? That's a good Tennessee program, or you expect it to still be a good Tennessee program in 2026, 2027. And it could hamper any opportunity you might have to, go play in the college football playoff. So they got to replace those games, but who are they replacing them with? Bowling Green and Miami of Ohio. Not exactly the kind of marquee matchup that you would like to see. Danny White, though, had looked at this and said, we wanted this game. We wanted this home and home series, and we've wanted it for almost 2 decades. The agreement to play Tennessee-Nebraska was signed in 2006. We got players in college football that were born in 2006. That's how long we've been looking forward to them playing this home and home slate. So Danny White, who got the job at Tennessee, has modernized how they get down, even putting on a surcharge to the ticket prices so that they can continue to pay the players that they need to show up the University of Tennessee, hiring Josh Heupel, bringing that program back to national prominence, having it be a top 10 program, had said, hey, we got to have some measures in place for things like this, because what's going to happen is Nebraska is going to pay Tennessee $1 million to go away. That $1 million doesn't feel like that steep a price like it did in, say, 2014. Yesterday's price is not today's price, is what Danny White would like you to think. He would say, hey, look, if you're going to pull out this late in the game, there should be consequences. There should be consequences. There should be things that you have to admit to, some tests that you might need to pass, or we need to hit you with a higher level of, shall we say, child support. You're going to have to come up with a little bit more money now if you want to cancel these things that other places have been depending on. Like, it's not just that Tennessee wants this game and they wanted the economic impact in Knoxville, right? And of course, they would love to beat up on a classy Big Ten program, but not a juggernaut Big Ten program, right? Tennessee playing Nebraska this year would not have been Tennessee playing Ohio State last year, right? Or even a couple of years, I would think. Unless Matt Rule decides to put together a national championship caliber football team, in which case I would like to see it. However, if you are Tennessee, what's $1 million to you right now? Especially when, take a look at what the money has done, okay? We've got a $10 million head coach at Florida State, $11 million coach at USC, $12.5 million coach at Ohio State, $10 million coach at Texas, $13 million coach at Georgia. You get what I'm saying here, right? And then you look at the rights and you look at what the programs are getting paid as part of their partnerships with television networks, and you're looking at, if you're an SEC school, over $50 million annually. And then take a look at what ESPN was willing to pay for the rights to the college football playoff. $7.6 million, $7.8 million, billion dollars to put these games on no matter who gets into them, right? So there's a lot of money here. And the $1 million that you're paying, that is what you pay a position coach now. I know this because I just did this segment where the University of Texas is going to pay their linebackers coach, Johnny Nansen, $1.2 million. The defensive backs coach at Ohio State makes $1.4 million. The price is going up for all of this. And I think when you put that $1 million guarantee in place in 2006, it's a lot of money. Still very much a lot of money. I don't think we'd seen a $10 million head coach yet, right, in college football. Now, that probably needs to quintuple. Probably needs to get closer to 5 to make everybody honest, because that's its value, I think, in 2027. I think if you're playing a home game at in, say, Ohio, you're probably playing for the same sort of money in Nebraska because of what that football program means there. So as I was doing some research for a piece that actually didn't get published, but the reporting was really good, I got to talk with some fundraisers and presidents of name, image, and likeness collectives around the country. And I was flabbergasted to learn that an Ohio State football game is worth about $1 billion in economic impact per game. That's a ton of money. And while that seems far-fetched, if you can take a look at all that goes into an Ohio State football game, from travel to hotel to food and beverage to merchandise, to ticket prices, you can get there pretty quickly, especially when you look at the shoe. And the shoe is big enough that it is going to host an NHL hockey game. That's going to be a big deal, right? I can get there. At Nebraska, I think the same thing could be true in 2027. Same thing is going to be true in Tennessee, as both of these programs expect to be competing for college football playoff spots, especially if it expands to 14 or 16 teams. But I wanted to talk about this because I thought that this was an important topic that is going to continue to reoccur. I think we're going to see more programs decide they don't want this game or that game because, A, you're not getting the back end, right? People are going to look at that loss on your schedule and say, should you be one of the teams in the college football playoff, yes or no? Whereas if you just beat up on Miami of Ohio and you beat up on Bowling Green, it's never in question. It's just you got 2 more wins. The strength of schedule argument only comes up if you lose. It never really comes up in a Power 4 sense if you win out. In Bowling Green, Miami, you're going to probably win those games. Much more likely to win those games than, say, Tennessee. And then what we're also paying attention to is how many of these home games can you get? So if you got an opportunity to get 7, 8 home games, you're going to take it. You are. Because right now, you're trying to get as much as you possibly can because it's going right back out the door. You have to continue to commit to the arms race. It's why a Texas Tech alumnus and billionaire selling his company for $4.1 billion is a big deal. Why? Because that's the same guy that gave $10+ million to the university, to Texas Tech University to go get players for this year. It's going up. Again, the price of brick going up. You know what I'm saying? Marlo at the table, price of brick going up. That's just what it is. And when the price of brick is going up and you're Tennessee, you want to be able to bank on that. You want that in your fiscal coffers, and they're pulling that away and saying, here's $1 million for your trouble. It's like, man, why do I feel like you just slapped me? Because they did. Because that $1 million doesn't mean much to them anymore. It's worth more to have that game and economic impact against Miami of Ohio and Bowling Green than it is to play the University of Tennessee in a home and home. That is the world we live in, boys and girls.